morning to those of you, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to the ones that still going out. But I appreciate you making the time. What I'm going to do, real quick, I get to play with all these stories. There's always a good time, but I'm going to talk to you about mobile payments acceptance, secure mobile payment acceptance of phones, secure mobile payment issuance. So we're going to talk about both sides of the equation. And continue to set up. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, when you're looking at that, it's a beeper. How many of you have a beeper today in the audience? Any of you sporting a beeper? No? And if you do, please don't sing. It's one of those questions you're going to ask. That thing dates back to 1921, actually, Detroit Police Department. And then the first one, Alan Grossman from Canada invented that in 1949. The FCC didn't allow that to work until the 1958. And then if you fast forward about 40 years later, in 2000, there was this individual who decided to come up with the idea of tying a card reader to that thing and create the first ruggedized, robust payment acceptance terminal on a beeper. When Motorola got involved back in 1959, they created their page boy. I don't know if you recall that. And then from there, it started becoming a pager back then. So why do I show you these things, and why is it relevant to what we're going to talk about? Is that we have been doing this thing for that long. We have been accepting payments from beepers, and now we've got smartphones and tablets. I'm going to take it that if you're here today, you do have a mobile roadmap in your organization, or you're either actively working on one. If you're not, you might be a little late. But I got to be honest, I'll tell you something real quick. I went out there to get some of my travel reading, and it's funny how when you get all these magazines, and the first thing that you can see, and they're all out there, everything is about mobility, right? So, transaction trends, the mobile payment revolution, you got a phone in there. So you see all these things, and some more sublime, basically that one is out there, but then you look in this issue, mobile payments, it's kind of ready. And then finally, I got the green sheet. And then the green sheet is like the ISO Bible. And I finally saw some hypercodes, some point of sale terminals. But the reality is that I couldn't see them because they were like inside a package like this. So you have to take the package out and then, there's US terminals in there. So why do I show you that? Because I still have some friends in the industry, and I've been doing this for some time, that their mobile roadmap includes putting one hand in here like this, and then the other one here. And they say, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. That's one of them. And then I actually have some of the other ones that they actually put their hand, if you reverse the hand, you can cover the ear first, and then the other. And then you see and you hear no evil. And mobile is never going to happen. But I'll share with you some, I call it fun facts, and I think that they're fun because you can just have fun with them. You can actually look at them and see that it's happening. Very surprised with this NPD group story that says 75% of all small, mid-sized businesses are going to buy a tablet in the next 12 to 18 months. And when you put that together with the National Retail Federation and the sample of the retailers, they took half of them and said, we are going to be accepting payments through tablets or smartphones in the next year or so, 18 months or so. Then you look at the NFC, and I like this one because this is pretty somebody made a major math error. In 2011, there were 35 million phones that were shipped, and back then, somebody did a statistic that they thought it was going to be 40 million coming out of the market. They just recently corrected the statistic a little bit, and they say it's going to be 630 million phones with NFC that are going out of the market this year. So somebody made a little mistake. And then, of course, you can listen about Amazon, Google, ISIS. I don't have to tell you all the things that you've been hearing about already. But what I'm going to do is that with this Frederick Engels, he said an ounce of action is worth a ton of theory. Instead of PowerPointing you to death by PowerPoints is a terrible thing to have. And it seems to be that when we're talking about the mobile payments ecosystem, it's such an intangible topic that everybody in a PowerPoint and a Flash, they look like Superman. But what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to try to attempt to first explain to you the key elements of a mobile payments ecosystem. So these are things that regardless of who you decide to do business with, these are the 8 elements that no matter who your provider is, you really have to be looking for. And And I think that Mike has done a great job talking about security part of this. But whenever you're establishing your roadmap, and whenever you're looking about how you're going to offer either side of the equation, you're going to issue payments on phones, but you're going to acquire transactions on phones and tablets, these are the things that you got to look for. One, you have to be operating system neutral. So you want to make sure that your solution is not tied to one operating system, because your customers are not. And what you see happening, for example, in South America, you see a lot of people going from BlackBerry going over to Apple. If you put all your money, all your time, all your effort into an Apple-based, into a BlackBerry-based solution, when that merchant went to change a phone 6 to 8 months down the line, you end up losing the merchant because you went to another operating system. So whatever you're going to do, you got to accept the fact that your merchants are device neutral, and so should you. So you got to have, and I agree with Michael, should be operating system residing applications. You do not want to do what others are doing, which is a web-based session from the phone. This is not as secure, it's not as stable, it's not as fast. You want to really have an application that resides in the operating system of that phone and that actually works in all of them. BlackBerry, Apple, Android, RIM. We even accommodate some of the older, less intelligent Java type of systems, because again, your merchants are device agnostic. So, carrier neutral, that's important. You got to make sure that whenever that merchant connects that phone, no matter where he goes, he's going to work with whatever service he's using at that point. You definitely have to have a robust and secure gateway. Michael talked a lot about PCI and level 1, so you do have to have that gateway that hopefully not only is providing that security to decrypt transaction, but it's also bringing in some value-added tools to that merchant, bill representative, virtual terminals, recurrent transaction, whatever else that merchant needs, signature capture, what have you. We're going to talk about transaction environment neutral. That's important as well. A lot of times we come up with a mobile solution, but we forget that the merchant has other transaction environments. They might have a regular point of sale counter, they might have a store in the internet, and then they might want to take transactions from QuickBooks accounting in the back office. And on top of that, they're going to deliver through that phone. Do you really think that merchant wants to be looking for transaction data in so many different places? So you got to have a gateway that can integrate with your legacy systems, plus take you to that next level of mobility. Processor neutral is important, again, because merchants as well will be processor neutral, particularly in the United States. You want to make sure that, and maybe sometimes you have a merchant working with more than one processor. Hopefully we all try to bring all the business that we can on board, but you might have a merchant that says, I want to send my gift and loyalty transactions over there, because that's a gift and loyalty provider. That's all they do, and that's what I want to use for that. I want to send my checks transactions and ACH transaction over there. I want to do my credit card payment somewhere else. Security, Michael did a great job on that already, so I'm not going to cover that. The other thing that a lot of times it's not talked about enough is a deployment platform. These are not your regular point of sale. You might keep that for 5, 6 years. The reality is that depending on the region that you're in, your customer might change the phone every 6 to 8 months. And again, you don't want to lose the merchant when he changes the phone, but at the same time, you got to have a platform that is going to allow you to deploy quickly, and it's going to allow you to deactivate, reactivate, swap devices at need be, because you're now in a different world. You're not in the regular point of sale world. When I say mode of entry neutral, everybody's talking about NFC. Everybody's talking about EMV. We have the card swipe. We all know the story about EMV that created back in 1970, and the first batch came out in 82, 84. And we're seeing now a very good roadmap for the United States with solid dates, October next April, and then October 2015. I'm not here to tell you one is going to be here or the other. What I'm here to tell you is you got to accommodate them all. I think it's a big mistake to try to take sides when at the end the people holding the cards are going to decide. So I would say that you should have a platform that accommodates regular swipe. The old wire is going to continue to work. Key transactions, you're going to do contactless, make sure you accommodate that. And then finally, EMV for sure is something that is coming and it has some set dates to be working. So what I'm saying in essence is that you're going to have these hardware devices. Hopefully you are encrypting data like other programs that you see out there. You want to make sure that you're encrypting data in whatever hardware device you're using to include that transaction. You want to accommodate different transaction environments. It comes to your gateway. It's going to decrypt that transaction securely. It's going to go on a one-to-one to whatever your process or choice is. And make sure that when you're doing that, you have a gateway that can connect in any connection type, and that can talk in any data protocol that processor wants to talk to you in. So once it does that, it's going to come back to the merchant, and like Michael said, you want to make sure you're not sending any sensitive data back. You're only sending reference numbers back, so there's never sensitive data on the phone. We personally believe on both sides of the equation, be that we're talking wallets or we're talking acquiring, that the secure element is yet to be seen, right? When cybercrime keeps moving over to mobile crime, we'll see how secure the secure element is. Anything that you can take out of a phone and do something with it somewhere else, I personally don't believe it to be that secure. And then we have all these PCI things, and that will be the end of my PowerPoint. What I'm going to try to do, and I don't know if the projector will allow me to do this, but we're going to try. Is that what you're seeing on the screen right now is my Nexus S Android phone, and of course Angry Birds as well. No phone seems to be complete without Angry Birds. But, so we got Angry Birds on the phone. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to turn this device on, and I'm going to go into our application. So first I'm going to show you, notice that I have two applications. One, I'm a merchant. Two, I'm a consumer paying with my phone. So first I'm going to be a merchant. I'm going to go ahead and log into this application in here. My password. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and log in. Notice that it looks kind of like a regular point of sale system with the palm of your hand. Big difference that you'll see in here, automatically connected. So a lot of the times you see on the field a one-page application. You want to give simplicity to that needs simplicity. So the reality is that this is simple. If you want to provide a merchant with just a one-page application like that the merchant can come in and just swipe his card and get ready to go, you can do that. So I'm going to go ahead here with this device, swipe my card. It goes in there. By the way, these we are connected. These are live transactions that are going to be taking place. I go ahead and process. That's the end of that transaction. And hopefully I get to sign on the screen. And I get to submit that signature to the gateway. You want to do signature capture because in the case of a chargeback resolution, kind of a chargeback dispute process, you want the signature to be available for the merchant. I'm going to say okay to that. I'm sorry. Receipt prints out and you're good to go. So as simple as that. If you happen to have an NFC enabled type of card, in this case, I'm using a PayPass. First, you've got to activate it the first time. It gets activated. I'm going to go ahead and do another live transaction. I might as well. So I'm going to say $3, submit. Again, this is no PowerPoint or little flashy thing. This is live transactions taking place. Here we go. So we submit that to the gateway. That's the end of that. The receipt is printed. So, but take a look at this. If you want to be able to provide something that is going to be as robust as that merchant needed. So one of the things that we have done is our application has over 110 different configuration parameters right on the app. So you can use it simple, straightforward, and you're good to go. Or you can come into a different industry, make sure that you can change that. You want to send transactions to QuickBooks Accounting. That's important for a small, medium-sized merchant in the United States. They do use QuickBooks Accounting. So you go ahead and you integrate that. It's going to send the transaction right to the customer record, the invoice within that customer. You want to accept tax. You're in a tipping-related industry by amount, by percentage, auto-apply. Whatever the option is, I definitely cannot take it to 110 of them. But I think the two more that are worth mentioning here, one is GPS. You want to, your carrier so allows it. You want to allow the stamp where that transaction took place. And what I believe is more important is actually the tender types. All tender types at the palm of your hand. So I will actually argue that this is even the most robust system than your regular point of sale. If you go back in here, we're talking about prepaid products. We all know that we're issuing prepaid cards. These are closed-loop, open-loop products. If these cards have no money, you have nothing. So you want to make sure that you expand your loading network. Any merchant that you so allow can actually go ahead and use the device to actually activate cards and to actually add value as well to this card as well. If you have a merchant that is accepting checks, you might want to do that in different ways. One, they might have a verification guarantee type of company you want to send the transactions. Two, they might want to take recurring payments. It's an insurance agency, goes to your house. It's going to charge you the first time when he sells you the insurance. After that, I'm going to go into your account so many times, every so often, to actually bill you. And finally, the greatest and latest when it comes to paper conversion to electronic, I can go in here. I'm going to go ahead and write what I'm reading in the instrument. I'm going to go ahead and type the check number, the routing, the account that I'm paying you from. Do I want to pay from savings or checking? I do that. And I'm going to go ahead and do this. Submit that transaction gets approved. I don't have the check, I'm going to take a picture of you guys so we can tweet and do all that kind of great things. Excellent, thank you for posting, particularly you, John, that was very nice. We're going to submit that to the gateway, we're going to get to see that. Now, that's a regular point of sale system. You have a customer using their phone to accept transactions. You might have the next level of that. And actually, before I do that, I'll take advantage that I have this phone connected. Let me be a consumer now, and I'm going to pay my wallet. So I'm going to go into my wallet application. The first thing I want to do is first I want to have a password to log into the app. That's my first security level, and I work in a security company, so that's a very secure password right there for me. As you can tell, good. If the merchant will talk about NFC, the merchants might be able to do that at some point. If you have a terminal that is NFC enabled, you go and you tap the phone to the terminal, you're ready to go. If you don't, some of the programs that we're working, you just send a sign to it, and that's going to say, go ahead and pay with your phone in here. So now I don't have to go to the merchant point of sale through the fact that I can just send him this sign and say, listen, you have an NFC phone. I can go ahead and tap my phone into your sign. It's going to tell me exactly what merchant location you are. What account do I want to pay from? There's nothing on the phone. These accounts are, again, on the gateway. Let's make this a live transaction. Second level of security is my PIN. I'm going to send that transaction. Merchant is going to see that transaction lift up. They decide to accept it or not. We know it's going to have to go beyond payment, so you want to motivate people to do something else. We're in Las Vegas, so let's go ahead and win a prize. You're going to get to spin the little wheel in here. Spin the little wheel, and of course, in the demo, everybody kind of wins. In real life, perhaps not so much, right? And what you're seeing here, I think what is important is what we're pulling from the gateway, that particular data. That data could have been 10% next Tuesday, whatever that merchant decided to offer that customer for buying their location. And before I get put out of the stage, I'm going to show you one more thing that I think you'll be interested in. Yesterday they came out in some kind of news about a cash register. And I'm going to show you some of the programs that we have done. One real quick one. You might know about Papa John's Pizza. I happen to have the cash register that we do for they were at the Bulls game selling. Let me see if I can actually minimize this enough. Switch it around. Alright. So now I'm going beyond just accepting payment. The gateway that you want to work with, it has to be level 3. You want to make sure that you can take line item detail that goes not only for qualification purposes in case you're processing purchasing cards. Again, now you're looking at my Galaxy tablet. I'm going to go ahead and go into the Papa John's cash register. This is what they were using to the stadiums. You're sitting down, they're walking by, and I want you to get the real application again beyond the theory into how actually it's used in the field. So I'm going to log into the cash register as I would into any other cash register. And once I log in, now you see the inventory. Of course, a limited inventory because they're working on the stadiums. If I drill down into this, I can see the basic detail of that. I'm going to select different items from the inventory. I'm going to get to pay now. When I get to pay now, I can pay by bills, or I can accept credit cards. These are the times where I wish I had more hands. I'm going to go ahead and swipe this card in here. Same thing that happened before. The card was in there. Submit the transaction. Again, another live transaction taking place for good or for bad. In here, got to prove basic fast. I got to sign on the screen. Submit that signature. That's the end of that. So, the printer receipt comes out and it's going to print out the signature of the transaction as well. Now, let's make sure that I'm not playing little games in here with you sending texts and doing things like that. You want to make sure that you're seeing what is really taking place in the back office of this. I'm going to log in into the platform. The transactions that you have been seeing right now are happening live. Coming at the portfolio level so I can see different merchants. If I had different merchants in that, I'm going to come in, there's different devices that this merchant is using. I have different tools and things that I provide to them. But what I'm going to do is search the transaction. And you can see the transaction detail. Was it recurrent? Did I take a PIN? What kind of transaction was this? And take a look at the receipt as well. So now I get a call, there's a chargeback issue. Before I will have to actually get a paper receipt from this merchant. Now it's all available right at the gateway. He needs to mail that to somebody. He just puts an email address in there. That's the end of that. We also did a check conversion transaction. Same setup as well. You can see the same exact detail of everything that we have done. You go into view. If I would have taken a check, that's a picture of you guys. Again, thank you for posting. That's that. Last platform I'm going to show you. And with that, I'm going to close and open for session. I'll let you guys go out to lunch. I probably wouldn't want to. How do you deploy this thing? It has to be, and this is something that we learned after doing some material deployments. Everything else will fall apart if you don't have a robust platform to deploy. So be it that a customer comes into a bank, he leaves in 5 minutes with their phone working as a full-fledged point-of-sale system. You fill out this half-a-page profile. We're not giving you the merchant account because we're not the merchant provider. That's where your processor is. Let's suppose that he's gone. Mr. Merchant here already has a different location, accepting payments through an iPad, through QuickBooks, or Windows PC. He's using his laptop with a data card to take payments. Now he wants to add a device. Go ahead and call add a device. Let's look into BlackBerry. We haven't seen a BlackBerry yet. I click on that and notice that we pretty much accommodate them all. You select the one, you select the services you want to allow that merchant to accept. And what's going to happen is that as soon as that you click on the services that he's going to accept, you say submit, that merchant is going to receive a text message and it's going to look like that. That license already set up who they are and what you're going to allow them to do. It's going to send them to the App Store of the operating system that you're providing. So that could be Apple, Android Market, BlackBerry Market, what have you. After that, you go to the look and feel that you have been seeing all along. And with that, I think the only thing I didn't tell you is that my name is Oscar Munoz and the company is Charge Anywhere. So please, if you have any questions, this is the time.